Made on Zencaster.
Hey there, this is Jimmy from the zeotoheropod podcast, and we want to support all our partners. Here is Ben and his new podcast, Baker Rangers Movie Talks. Follow Ben and his guest as they review a movie of the week. If you want to see more from Billy, Ben, myself, or all our partners, please follow us at zeotoheropod across all platforms. And without further ado, here is Baker Rangers Movie Talks with Ben and all his technical problems.
Hi, welcome to Baker Rangers, and welcome to Baker Rangers Movie Talk, where we talk about movies we love. We're big fans of Power Rangers, and I'm a partner with Zeo to Hero, so my guests for today are the one and only two, Billy and Jim. So, I've known these guys for a few times, for a little while, and they can see you now, by the way. So,
that was
too great.
It was a great introduction for the host of the Zeo to Hero podcast, Billy, and the co-host.
I like the way you make sure you're fully aware that we are the Molten School of Podcasting.
Yes. Yes.
Didn't we?
It's we always have a good time when we're together. Even though we're not together, we're miles and miles away.
Only half a couple states is fine.
Well, just one state. Well, no. Well, if I walk a block, then it's one state or 2 blocks. So technically 2 states.
Our
Come on, guys.
States is fine.
Come on.
That's true.
Let's not dumb it here, guys. This is a no dumb zone.
What?
What?
I call BS.
All right, so today we are going to talk about what we love. Well, not the most, but we love Power Rangers. That's why I'm called Baker Rangers. That's why there's Zeo to Hero, because Zeo as in Power Rangers. So, this movie came out in 1995 through Fox. And how old was I when this movie came out? I was almost 9. I was 8 when the movie came out because it was the summer of 95. So, yes, I'm old. Very old.
Oh, I was 5.
I was 4.
Yeah.
Just youngins right there.
Showing our age right now.
If you haven't seen the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, it is about a group of teenage heroes
who fight an evil guy named Ooze.
Yes, they do. Ooze just comes out of a big purple egg in the middle of Angel Grove because everything happens in Angel Grove.
Yep. Any alien invasion always happens in Angel Grove, California, and in this case, it was an alien invasion from the ground up. And Ivan Ooze is played by Paul Friedman, who, if you don't know who that is if you've ever seen Hot Fuzz, he's the pastor in Hot Fuzz. He's been in a lot of other things, but that's the one like most people know him from.
I have never actually seen Hot Fuzz, but he was also in Indiana Jones.
One of the Nazis, I think.
I think he was a Nazi.
Yeah,
which makes sense because now he's a space Nazi. Ivan Ooze.
Technically, he was a space Nazi. Yeah,
True.
Had an evil empire. Rolled with a flute. Yeah, evil space Nazi.
And he hated teenagers.
Exactly. The quote. What's that smell? It's teenagers.
But he does have a love for the Brady Bunch.
He loves it. 6,000 years stuck and somehow knew about all the things that happen in the world, like the Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, because somebody knew, like, I'm pretty sure that was a reference to Monty Python. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Maybe. Could have been like Apocalypse in the X-Men Apocalypse, where he gathers all his information from a television set, and somehow it gives him all the history of everything. And they're both purple or blue, bluish purple.
Oh, yeah.
The violet?
But yes, so I was 8 when this movie came out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I don't think I've saw it in theaters, but I did see it around the time the 3rd season of Power Rangers came out.
Yeah.
And even though this kind of does not fit in the story, it's not canon, which we'll talk about later. I had a fun ride with it as a young kid.
With our rose-tinted glasses on, it was great. Like I remember our dad taking us to go see the movie, and so our dad would take us to this movie. Our mom took us to Turbo, but our dad took us to Power Rangers for the first time, and then I think our mom took us to the second time. We watched it like 3 times in the theater as kids. So I remember going to it multiple times. I'm like, I remember watching it in theaters multiple times, and that's kind of all I got for a memory because I was 4. I just remember seeing it in theaters.
Yeah, I remember that.
VHS.
Yeah, I remember the McDonald's toys.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That was I had to collect all of them. The only one I got, I think, was the frog and the morpher.
We had the crane and the ape.
And I got brain damage, so I don't remember. That might have been before you were born, but
A lot of you were dropped as adults.
Woo, buddy.
By the way, this is the entire show is gonna be like this.
Yeah, it's true.
I hope not. I hope it's not.
No. It's fun, and we talk about the movie. So in this movie, as we talked, ooze came out of a purple egg in the middle of
A
Angel
construction
Grove.
site in
Yes.
a construction site in Angel Grove, California. Because if you really want to get into it, it would be Angel Grove, Australia, because that's where it was filmed in Australia. But yeah, so you start the movie out with them doing an action set piece of skydiving, and the first characters you actually see in the movie, I believe, are Bulk and Skull.
Yes.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You see the original team and then Bulk and Skull.
Well, they're at the very beginning of the movie, so I'm gonna go.
Yes,
with that.
they're in the beginning of the movie.
They're
Yes.
all in the beginning of the movie. The team and Bulk and Skull, they go skydiving.
Yep. I don't know why they would have a skydiving competition to save a blah 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 words.
Was it the youth center or?
No, it's telescope building.
Okay.
Observatory?
There it is, observatory.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, words.
Maybe that's
I know
a
words, I swear.
precursor to Zeo, because with Zeo they had those preview shorts of the observatory and something's coming, and that's where you hear the Zeo. Even though it had nothing to do with the show, actually.
Ooh, that was majestic, man.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
I've
I've got an angelic voice, but yes, Satan was an angel, but still, it's angelic. But so
correct, but the best kind of correct.
So, and I don't know why they have high school kids that are older than high school kids jumping out of a plane.
What gets me is, so they have these high school kids jumping out of a plane, and then they land, and you can clearly see they're caked in makeup. They're all in makeup, a ridiculous amount of makeup to hide all their cracks and stuff. Because once you hit 20, you start getting the crow's feet and the little cracks here and there.
You just start falling apart.
Yeah, because engine light comes on, and you're never gonna see.
Okay, so what I don't get is when they're jumping out of the plane. So when Bulk and Skull finally jump out of the plane, Skull's backpack is being barely put on, but when you see him jumping out, it's already strapped up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Movie magic.
It's a plot device.
Plot device. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a magic.
What I want to know is why the guy who, when Skull jumps to the plane, why the guy who's following the plane doesn't look anything like Skull. Nothing.
Well, that's a stunt double.
That makes no sense. I thought the stunt double was supposed to look similar.
I swear.
I think a lot of them don't even look anything like them. Sometimes
I think they represent that. The only thing in common is probably the body type.
Yeah, what was it? It was
this war pillow.
Was there it might have been Austin Powers that had like a spoof.
Austin Powers,
And it,
where
like,
the guy was not even the same color.
yeah, it was.
Doing the backflips.
Yeah,
He was a gold member.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, that was a great Austin Powers. We should do that next, by the way.
Austin Powers, I love them. We need to do one. Oh, by the way, this is a part 1 of the Power Ranger movie talks. So we are going to do another episode talking about Turbo and the 2017 movie. So that will be coming. Are we going
to talk about the made-for-TV movie for RPM and Samurai?
Well, I didn't know there was a made-for-TV movie for RPM and Samurai.
Oh my God, man.
But those were made for, well, I guess movie is still movie. It's movie talk, so we talk TV and movie. But yeah, we could possibly do that, but we're going to do mostly the theatrical releases.
Okay, we'll have a list of movies for you then.
But there's a lot of movies out there to talk about.
Yep, there's tons of stuff. So continuing on the conversation.
Yes, so to continue with this story.
There's a kid
who, when Turbo came out, I thought that kid was Justin. But I was like, oh, Justin, that's the kid from the first movie, but it wasn't the kid from But there's a kid that they befriend, because they always befriend kids in Power Rangers, because that's what they did in Mighty Morphin.
We only had 2 conversations with this kid in total. Two conversations. Yeah. One at the very beginning of the movie and one at the very end.
But they're just loving teenagers that just love the community, and they just connect. They like to connect. They're connectors.
But yeah, so they're bringing the community together. They're doing cool stuff for the community, like a skydiving competition, which is pretty cool. And then they go from there and they skate around the the city, because that's what you do. You skydive and then you go skating around on inline skates, because action.
Yeah, it was pretty much like right after they skydived, they were just going through these.
And they cut to the construction zone.
Yeah.
And then you find Ivan's egg hand.
Yeah.
Which that's what happens. Yeah.
That's where Bulk and Skull land.
That's where Bulk and Skull land. They're like,
they pretend to be inspectors or something.
They were building inspectors. Hey, that building not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be over there.
Yeah.
Like, that was a key moment for the whole movie, because you're like, oh, Bulk and Skull. All right, guys. All right. Cool. Like, you can, okay. That's what made me fall in love with those guys. Like, up to that point in the series, they were like meh for me, for my memory. And after that, I was like, all right, these guys, they're good. They're good people. I like them. They're fun.
Yeah, they're bullies, but they have a heart of gold. So.
Yeah. And then, from there, when Ivan Ooze's hand egg gets found, Alpha and Zordon freak out, and they summon the Power Rangers. They summon them. Okay, so it's daylight when they're summoned to the command center, okay? And then they're supposed to go check out the construction zone in the middle of the night. So, like, what are they doing between this? Like, what are they doing? Are they hanging at the command center? Did they go home? They have dinner? What happens?
Because, what's the best way to investigate something with high school kids is in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. And my other question is, okay, they show up there and they don't wear high visibility vests at all. They don't. What's going on?
OSHA!
Yeah, but they're not workers. They don't work for the campsite. They're looking for Ivan Ooze, the morphological being. Yeah, that's a word. Morphological
being.
You would think that he would be a non-morphological being because he has nothing to do with the morphing grid?
Morphing grid at all, but I don't think the writer knew that.
No. Yeah, we looked up the writers and they did almost nothing since or before. So,
continuing on with our play-by-play of the movie, Zed, Rita, Goldar, and Modort show up at night right before the Power Rangers show up to release Ivan from his embalming of an egg, and they ask him if they would work for him, and they're like, "Who are you and why?" And they're like, "Well, we want to defeat Zordon of the Eltar." And the best scene is like he's like, "Zordon!" He shoots a bunch of lightning bolts out of his hands, comes back down, and then Modort's like, "I'm pretty sure he's heard of him."
Can I just say right off the bat that guy, what's his name, Modart?
Yeah, Modart, Moded,
Mode something.
Yeah, MODNA.
So that guy, that character is my spirit animal. I relate to him so much. The dumb one-liners that he says to at the movie.
Oh, they're great. Like they're priceless.
I think everybody says dumb one-liners throughout this movie.
Oh, a lot.
I think that's like 90% of the script is just one-liners.
I feel like Rita got a lot out of this. I know she wasn't in the movie for very long, but she gets this great moment where like Ivan's like, "Oh, I'll destroy him myself," and then she looks at Zed, "Oh, a real man," and Zed's is like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Just this movie had a lot of quips, and like the villains had the best quips. Like everyone's like, "Oh, the heroes are like the heroes," and I'm like, "Well, the villains, they're funny. They're real funny." And
yeah,
to be fair, that's been a running theme through all the Power Rangers. Has been the villains had the best quips, plain and simple, because they're all the puns. It's all punny. I went there.
Unintended.
That's right. But okay, so the Rangers show up and they're snooping around, and Ivan's transformed himself into a bodyguard, not bodyguard, but a security guard who was completely new Australian accent, like trying to hide it with an American accent. It was like, "Oh hey, what are you guys doing here?" They're like, "Well, we're looking for a morphological being," and Ivan like transforms into himself, and Tommy's like, "We're the Power Rangers," and Ivan's like, "Ooh wee, where's my autograph book?" And then he summons his first wave of evil henchmen. Which what are they called? What were they called?
I don't know. I forgot to look that up.
I think they were called the Oozers.
Maybe like they never actually give them a name because you get the Tengu, who is the second generation made from its snot, but the first one's made from electricity. So,
and it makes sense that they would be called Oozers because if you really look at them in the face, like they look like Ivan Ooze, but with
they
like
look a lot like them, yeah.
Yeah, with dreadlocks, like Ivan Ooze with dreadlocks, like probably what he looked like when he was in his 20s.
Ivan's has this like helix on his chin, like his hair, like the things come out as like helix, and on the Oozers they come out like two different points. Yeah, so little things. Okay, but that happens, and then the Rangers get beat up a little bit. And there's a great line where Adam's like, "Let me get the door for you." And he smacks one in the face with a cat door from the back hose, like smacks him in the face with it, and then gets thrown. And so, okay, like my favorite part is like you see them all get together at this edge of a cliff, like in the ravine, and so like they're all like bounce and fly in, and then Adam gets thrown in at the very end. It's like Adam's there. All right. Well, all right. And then they morph. And the suits are very nostalgic, to say the least.
They're pretty what?
Nostalgic?
I don't know if they're nostalgic.
Well, they're really rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, well, yeah, because back when I was 8, those suits were like awesome. They're like now you kind of see like versions of that where they have the emblem on, because in the actual show there was no emblem there, so they did that for the movie. But they had armor, they looked like rough and tough, and now it's like rubber and like
as we've gotten older, it looks far more like it was kind of slapped together. Like as a kid, you're like, "Oh, that looks sweet," and now as an adult, you're like, "That looks very impractical."
Very.
It's like, hold on, this doesn't look right. Hold on.
And from the stories from the actors themselves, how those suits would tear every moment.
Yeah, they would tear a lot, and they were exceptionally hot and really, really rough to use. Yeah. But yeah, so we get to that, and then we find out that they apparently have separate powers within their power sets. Like the Yellow Ranger has high beams, and the Red Ranger has X-ray sonar vision, something like that, where you can see like things behind walls. And there's the pterodactyl whip, and the fact that Tommy can spin upwards and defy gravity. That was weird. No. And then the zip line, the Blue Ranger zip line thing, the like handheld zip line with that little yellow cord.
Yeah, it was a Tricera
Stinger or something like that. And
Tricera Stinger.
It's like this itty bitty yellow cord, and it pulls them across like the battlefield. I'm like, no, hold on, what? What?
It's movie magic.
It's
Power Rangers. It's Morphin magic.
I will give this movie props all day long for their practical effects. When they actually did practical effects, they nailed it. Like the dino, like later in the movie, there's a skeleton dino, and like the practical effects were great. Whenever CG gets involved, it gets a little weird. Like this is really cool scene.
A little more than weird.
Yeah. But there's this fight scene, like they knock one of the oozers into a grate, and like the camera's underneath the grate, and it hits the grate, and then it cuts the scene, and just does this like black of ooze. But they do the cut so fast, you don't even notice it the first time through. Like you don't notice it, and like they did it really well. I liked how they did the cut. So that's just me, and I know I'm being weird.
Well, yeah. You just like splatter.
Yeah, exactly. I like purple splatter.
Yeah.
Mixing some red and blues together. Give me some purple.
You get a elephant face, then you have the Zeo to Hero logo. So
get that vaporware going on. Yeah, we got this.
There you go.
So, but Ivan shows up at the command center because Ivan is evil. He leaves Zeo deal with Zordon because he's really mad at Zordon because he's been stuck in his egg for 6,000 years. Shows up, gets into the power chamber, and just starts wrecking shop.
Well, before you go any further, let's just how he gets in.
Yeah,
Alpha says anybody with the power coin, without a power coin, cannot get in. But what does Ivan do? Ivan slips through the cracks as an ooze form,
which is really, really cool. But the CG looks kind of iffy. But it looked like it was a cool idea. He gets in, and then he delivers one of the best one-liners I think I've ever heard in any kids movie ever. I've missed so much. The Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion.
I did not know that the Brady Bunch were evil cosmic beings that he just loved so much. Or maybe he just liked the Brady Bunch. I don't know. Subliminal messages.
And the fact that he made that whole scene up as he went was like the best. Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
They basically gave this actor to play Ivan Ooze free range. Like you could do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want to do and let's let it roll. And that guy got acting chops all day long. Like that was like the highest paid. Like he was like the best actor who showed up. Plain and simple. Like everyone else pales in comparison to him, and it was great. I love him.
Yeah, he had like the most experience. Plus, he's hours of putting in that makeup. You might as well just let him have fun, or else why is he even there? Why does he want to be there if he's because he was above the material. Like if you really think about it. So
they paid him not enough money.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Well, in all fairness, I don't think they imagined that they were going to acquire the amount of money that they did for this movie.
Yeah, they made like $13 million opening weekend, something like that.
Yeah, and they made over 60,
like $60 million for this movie. Yeah, it was a complete win.
Which back then in the 90s, that was a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of money. Lots of money.
Well, back then, Power Rangers were bigger than the Ninja Turtles, bigger than He-Man.
Yeah, it was huge. Oh my god, it caught on like wildfire.
Yeah, because by that time they were already worth $1 billion. Mm-hmm. So,
like the actual the franchise name.
The toys sales and
look up the toys that made us, and they actually go into how much they were worth right away. Like within 1 year, they were worth a bunch of money. Saban was like, "Oh, we are worth this a lot of money." And so they just dumped a lot of money into it, and then that's how they got the movie and the Turbo movie, and it was starting to slip around in space, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Well, Turbo kind of slipped. They didn't put as much into Turbo as they did into
there was a lot of stuff going on in Turbo and whatnot, and that's for another movie talk with Turbo.
that's for the other next Power Ranger movie talk, which will be coming up sometime.
At some point.
At some point. Some point in the future.
We do this episode.
Yeah. You know, if you guys want more episodes of this and of us just, then go ahead.
Fart
let us
around.
know.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he destroys the command center. Zordon Alpha calls them, or they can't. They lose their powers. The Rangers lose their powers. They have to go track back to the command center, which is an actual place. It's a library. It's a really cool place. It's at the Jewish library, Jewish historical library in Simi Valley.
Yes, the library in Simi Valley.
The human library and the Jewish College of Simi Valley. It's a really cool library. Go check it out. It's beautiful. Like seeing it in person is completely different than seeing it like in the show. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. Okay, but besides that,
even for the movie, they changed so much from the show. They redesigned a whole lot, but they kept the same outside of the command center.
I like how they had the movie. Okay, so if you watch when you watch the movie, you'll see the outside of the command center in the daytime, and at night it's the exact same frame except just different colors. The clouds are the same and everything. It's all the same. It's like, all right, cool. Like, we had to cut colors somewhere. Okay, so they get him there, and then Zordon's dying because he can't live outside of his container because Ooze blew up everything basically. So he said they're dying, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. And Alpha's like, "Hey, we have this new power set you can go get from this planet with this great power. Blah 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 blah. Great power." And Alpha sends his kids to this other planet. The second time we actually leave Earth. Yeah. The first time we left Earth was in season 2, so this is the second time we left Earth.
Yeah.
They did the Masked Rider episode in season 2.
No, that was actually season 3. The first 3 episodes right before they actually got the
I'm mistaken.
Okay, because I'm going to do a show on that on a different series called More Phenomenal Motivation Mondays, and so that's a 3-part called A Friend in Need. So
self-promotion much.
And to state the fact that the TV series was a alternate dimension version, an alternate timeline of this one.
Yeah, this is not the same at all. No.
So that's why.
Which we'll talk about in the second half of this, about the canonization or non-canonization of this movie.
Yeah, if you want to hear the rest of this, if you're listening to this on the Zero to Hero stream, you can go on to the Baker Rangers and you can hear the rest of this nonsense after the intermission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, so they go to this other planet, and Ooze is like, all right, we need Ooze is like, well, we defeated Zordon. I'm going to go take over the evil empire. So he shows up at Zed's headquarters on the moon, and it's like, well, I defeated Zordon, and now I own the place. So he sits in Zed's throne, and Zed's like, no one betrays me, no one double crosses Lord Zed, and he like shocks him with his staff. And this is the point where you realize Ivan Ooze is overpowered as all get out. Because he's like, oh, stop, that tickles. Stop it. Just stop it. Because Zed, he one-shots Tommy all the time. Like, when Tommy him fought in season 2, I want to say, into season 2, or into season 3, like, he just stomps Tommy all day long. Like, there's no winning against Zed. And, like, Ivan's like, oh, stop it. Done. And he makes him into a snow globe. He shrinks him down, puts him in a snow globe. And, like, you just realize how overpowered Ooze is. You're like, well, dang. And so, yeah, and there's a lot of really fun little one-liners. And, like, he asked Goldar and Mordor if they want to be just like Rita and Zed, or they want to serve him. And then Mordor's like, oh, they really stink. And it cuts back to them on the new planet. They talk. This is where the Tengu show up. We're like, well, we need to send someone to go after the Rangers because they escaped. So he makes the Tengu warriors who fly into space to follow these guys to his other planet, multiple galaxies away. Even though they're flying, they get there like right after they get there.
Yeah,
and I don't get it.
I never really thought about that till just now. Yeah, because they literally flew with their wings,
and they show up, and they're not even tired. How are they not tired? They just flapped all the way across the universe to get there. They should be exhausted.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And so then you get this really nifty little fight scene, another action scene, where the Tengus are actually about to win, and then Dosea shows up, who is
My second crush when I was a kid.
yes, we'll go with that.
Uh-huh.
And like nails on a chalkboard, like she takes out these two staffs and like whirls it around, like whee, whirls it around and makes us.
How'd it go again?
Makes them leave. You can actually do it again, Billy, if you want to do it.
Whee!
That's the
That
sound.
was
Yes.
perfect.
That's it.
That was perfect.
That was it.
Make that sound, and so they go away, and she beats up Tommy, which is pretty funny. And they're like, Zordon sent us. It wasn't Zordon who sent them. It was Alpha who sent them. But they name drop Zordon, and she's like, well, if you know who Zordon is, you must follow me. And they go on this long little trip. And we cut back to Ivan, who wants to, who had the Tengus show back up. And they tell him, like, what happened, and they tell him who it is. And he's like, okay, well, all right then. And the Tengus are like, do you want to take another whack at it? And he's like, no, I want you to take another quack at it. And it blows them up. No, I want you to take another quack at it. I love
That
Ivan.
really
Ivan's
quacks
my
me up.
favorite character.
That was bad.
Don't care. My favorite
No.
character of the whole movie. Like Paul Freeman just nailed that scene. Like everything every part of that whole entire movie, it's fantastic. At this point, I believe he's starting to take over the parents at this point too.
Mhm.
I believe.
Yeah, he gives away bottles or jars of ooze for kids to play with because preteens and early teenagers just love to play with goo. So parents.
It was a '90s movie.
Yeah, my daughter used to love it, but she's outgrown ooze now, or goo or whatever it is. But yeah, and then all of a sudden it makes the parents, just the parents, not all the grown-ups, just parents. So if they were not a parent, it was not a big deal.
Yeah, and so like if it wasn't apparent, and so so we had the scene where like the dad from the kid from earlier, is like walking out with goo on his hand. Okay, so he's walking with goo on his hand, and it zooms out as they're like all brain controlled walking, like all the parents are coming down the road, and so I don't get how would he not notice all these other parents walking down the road while he pulls up to his own house. And then second, why is he the only one with goo on his hand? The rest of them are completely fine, no goo on their hands at all. But it's just him with goo on his hand walking down the street, and they're all like brain controlled.
Yeah, because he had to touch it.
Yeah, conspiracy theories bunch, huh? Yeah, and that's where we're going with this.
Or, well, never mind. This is a kid-friendly show, so I'm not going to that.
Maybe they sniffed it.
Thing.
Because he touches it and pulls it up and smells it, and that's when he gets brain controlled. Maybe they just sniffed it from the jar. Maybe it's a scent thing.
Maybe they thought it was jelly, and so they smelled it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Is this what, blueberry? Nope, not blueberry. Can be brain controlled.
Snozberries.
It's the snozberries.
It's like-
It's like snozberries.
Like smells, takes a whiff. Must go build robots that don't look nothing like animals.
Must go unbury really terrible CGI robots.
Yeah, let's
Not-
make a fly face with a scorpion butt and a big old huge fly with big arms.
What drove me insane was the fact that we just recently rewatched this movie to do a show with, and so I rewatched this movie, and so they have all these adults there at the construction zone, okay, and they're all wearing purple vest, okay, not high visibility vests, like the orange and like bright yellow you would normally wear in the construction zone, so you stand out against the background. No, they're all wearing purple vest. And
Well,
I'm
if it's
like,
got reflective stuff on it, that
there's
it
no
can
reflective
still-
stuff at all on it. It's just purple. There's no reflective stuff on it, just purple vest. And I'm like,
it's
of all the
Ivan
things,
Ooze purple.
but like still, it's like you don't blend in with the background. Like you blend away way too much with the background. And the one guy I had to give props to is that dude who does that dancing stuff for Goldar, Modart, and Ooze. That dude deserves like some kind of props because he goes from the boogie, he does the Macarena to the dive or the swimmer to ballet all in like one take. Kudos to that dude. I don't know what his name is, but kudos to him.
Thank you, dancing possessed guy.
Dancing with the movie in 1985. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
You win. Watch, she comes across this podcast.
It's like, I was the dancing possessed guy.
That was me.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, random Australian dude, because like all the extras in this
That's
movie were Australians. It's obvious too, because they try to master your accent, and they just can't do it. And there's even scenes like where the dad gets out of the car from the driver's side with their steering wheel.
You could tell it was an Australian car.
Yep, with American plates on it. Because of course.
And they were filming the show at the same exact time, so a lot of episodes in season 2 were filmed in Australia. That's why the Power Rangers, or the students of Angel Grove High School, went on a field trip to Australia, or went on a trip to Australia, because the movie was being filmed there.
Whoa. Blew my mind.
Wow.
Stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
I probably knew it, but it never really clicked for me. But yeah, so they're going to get this great power, and this is where they get the Ninjetti powers on this new planet. And Dosea gives them all these Ninjetti powers, which are just, ninja suits with leather headbands. Shiny leather headbands, if I may add. Shiny leather headbands.
Uh-huh.
And which are completely useless. Like, they get these, like, Ninjetti powers, and then they wander off to the wild the next day, or the next morning. They wander off in the wild, and like I think all it was to be like, oh hey, these are the new coins you get on your. They get the Ninjetti suits with the coin on them, and I'm like, and then they go with the powers. It's the exact same suits they had earlier with the new coin in it.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah, because they didn't technically get the power till they passed the test. So technically, they shouldn't have had the coin on their chest in the Ninjetti suits.
Exactly. And then when they transform, they did their call out, and they all got was a hood and like a face mask. And like there's multiple scenes where like people should be there, but they're not there, and weirdness. So skipping past all of that, because the one good thing is you get the really cool fight scene with the dino. And that's a really cool practical effect. Like, it's really good. Like, the whole moving of stuff was all practical, except for that one scene with the tail moving up, which was kind of weird. That was CGI. But the rest of it was all practical. And it was fantastic. And kudos to them. Like, that was great. And then you get the weird-looking dog things, and they knock them in the water, split them in half, and other stuff. So then they get the really cool new powers. The one power, the rule them all powers. Then from there, they go back to Earth. Whoop, back to Earth.
Didn't in the scene with the dinosaur, didn't Johnny Young Bosch break his foot or something?
I think so. Yeah.
Scene, because JDF had him go a little bit harder and do like a flip, and he wasn't there to catch him or something.
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. Someone broke their foot. Yeah. I don't remember exactly who it was, but something did happen. And but it was a really cool scene nonetheless. It was a cool scene. This is a Rocky stand-up moment. Was he runs up and tries to save Aisha by hitting this dinosaur with a femur bone from another dinosaur. Just hits him with a femur bone and it shatters. And I'm like, okay, cool. Rocky's really strong.
Yeah.
And then he does it again later with the dogs. He goes up and he tries to like punch or like tries to beat up one of the dog guys by himself, trying to save Aisha. So kudos to Rocky for really standing out in this movie. He's really doing a great job. And then he shows up again near the end with his Megazord and like tries to ride one of the morphological Zords. Like, kudos to Rocky. Like, he really stood out in this movie. Kudos to him.
Yeah, because he didn't really stand out much in the show. He was just kind of there. So
kudos to the writers for actually giving him something to do. Yeah. Kudos.
Except for breaking his back in the next movie.
Right. Oh no! Yeah,
there's a lot we could talk about that.
That's all for the Turbo movie review.
Especially when Kat breaks her leg and somehow she gets healed by Gyarados, but he
breaks his back, but he's
not gonna do it for Rocky. He's only gonna do it for Kat.
Because she's a pretty young blonde, and Larry's a blonde.
We're onto something here.
We were talking about Nazis earlier.
Yeah, it's all good.
Could have been worse.
Oh man, okay, but yeah, so they go back to Earth, and they got the Megazords show up, or the morphological Zords show up, and they got to call upon their poorly CGI other Megazords.
Oh, these were cringeworthy.
Oh my goodness! Like as a kid, it was cool. As a kid, like oh that's cool. As an adult, you're like, what happened here?
No, I think there were a lot of even CG shows back in that time, like Beast Wars, reboot that like had better.
Cubex.
Yeah, because even like that's kind of what it looked like to me was the show Reboot.
Yeah.
It was like that reboot in live action.
Yeah. And it was a little rough to watch. Though that little transition they had where they went from the outside to the inside of the Zord with the cockpit, that transition was really well done. I like that transition, even though the outside looked like horrible, but the transition was cool. But the weird part was like the handlebars for like the White Ranger standing part. He had handlebars, and it was kind of weird.
I thought he could ride his bike with no handlebars.
That's a song.
Oh, okay, never mind.
And I'm pretty sure that came out way later. So yeah, monorail stuff. Tommy saves the day for the monorail people. They go save the parents from jumping off a cliff because Ivan Ooze gives the like second best speech of the whole movie a little bit earlier before they get back to Earth. Is he tells his enslaved employees that he finds them boring. And they're not fun to look at and they smell weird, so they need to go jump off a cliff. Go back to the quarry and jump off the cliff. And they're like, leap to our door. And I was like, that's a real CEO thing to say right there. Who's is like the perfect CEO. Do what I want you to do. And he complains about how slow everyone is. He's like, oh, I forgot how slow human labor is. Ugh. Ooze is great. Plain and simple. That's what we'll leave it as. But yeah, so save the day, and then they go into space, and they save the day. Okay, so up to this point, so there's a couple one-liners about how Goldar thinks Kimberly's the cute one, and while the pink one's cute. And then Ivan Ooze combines with one of his Zords because they destroy one, and so there's one left, so he combines with it, and so it's like this really ugly-looking thing, and they fly into space, and so they're trying to destroy Ivan. And how they destroy it, they flick him into an asteroid. the asteroid that's mentioned at the very beginning of the movie.
Haley's Comet.
Haley's Comet. And the funniest thing is, so he's like hugging onto the Megazord, and he looks into the cockpit. He's like, have you hugged your Megazords today? Have you hugged your Zords today, Rangers? That was pretty good.
I hug mine every day.
Oh, no.
That's if you look at this background. You see that Megazord back there in this background? It always moves a little bit. See, exactly. Mine's over there alone by itself.
See, this is my Hasbro one, so my Soul of Chigogan is on a shelf over there.
And so, end of the movie happens, and there's a big humongous fireworks display, and end of the movie. So, we just kind of talked about what the movie was.
You missed the whole point where she breaks the glass for the emergency big red button.
I was gonna leave that out and let people experience it themselves because that was a terrible scene.
Like, oh my god!
I get it, and like the only way to destroy Ivan was to do that, but Ivan's not even a human. Like, does he have that area like
male anatomy?
He would have male anatomy because of that, but he's a part of a robot. It makes no sense. I don't get it.
He's just Ooze in the robot because the only part in the robot that like is physical outside of Ooze is his face.
Yes. Yeah,
everything else is just Ooze throughout the mechanics of it.
Yeah, and so like, what's going on here? And then like apparently there's a bunch of takes as well for that scene. There's a bunch of like different quotes because they do the scene once and then they do the dub over because they do all the dub over and whatnot. So apparently there's a bunch of takes out there of her Aisha saying a bunch of other really weird, messed up things about it. And I want to hear that, but I don't think we're ever gonna get that ever. So plain and simple, I want to hear that. But yeah, there's that, and they go into a comment, big fireworks display, blah blah. They destroyed a comet, a once in a generation comet. They destroyed that. Cool, thanks guys. Thanks Rangers, I appreciate it.
Yeah, because nobody will ever see Haley's Comet ever again.
Thanks,
because
guys.
of the Power Rangers.
Yeah,
in that universe. Okay, so yeah, but Yeah. It's not a bad movie. It's a bad movie, but
it's not a bad movie if you are a kid and you love Power Rangers, you love action, you love Zords, and you love a bunch of corny jokes.
Yeah, Paul Freeman is perfect as Ivan Ooze. Plain and simple. Like, just watch his scenes; they're fantastic. The rest of the movie, like, if you're a Power Rangers fan, it's a fun movie to go back and rewatch, and like, just don't overthink about it, because if you overthink about it, it's going to ruin the whole movie. Just go and enjoy the movie. If you ever want to rewatch it. It's fun. Just don't overanalyze, because you're going to have a bad time. Besides that, though, it is a
fun nostalgia trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about, which I'm pretty sure we'll talk about after intermission. But yeah, for anyone who wants to go watch, just go watch it. You can find it virtually anywhere. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. Go watch it, especially if you're a Power Rangers fan and you've never seen it. Go watch how the 90s. Go watch the 90s version of Power Rangers. That's what that was, the 90s version of Power Rangers.
Yes.
And go watch all the ridiculousness and the skydiving scene and the suit actors, and like just go watch it. It's ridiculous. And like the terrible voiceovers and stuff like that. Like, go enjoy it. Have fun.
Fun is whatever you want it to be. So if you are not enjoying it, then start enjoying it. That's what you need to do. Say, maybe this is not too bad. Let's have fun.
I'm not going to overthink this. I'm just going to enjoy this as a fan. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be a fan about it. I'm just going to enjoy a bad movie for a bad. Like, when you can watch bad B movies kind of thing. You like.
That's what I was thinking. Like The Room. It's a horrible movie, but people love it because it's horrible.
Hello,
so
Mark.
I've only watched like 10 minutes of that movie, and
I've watched the whole thing, and it's a rough get through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it like that. It's
hi,
rough.
Mark.
Oh, hello, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
That's what we'll leave it at. We need to. We should have a movie night where we watch The Room and just be like tortured. Okay, but yeah. So if you want to see the Power Rangers movie, the '95 Power Rangers movie, watch it. It's bad, but enjoy it. Go watch Rocky actually do something for once. Go watch a weird interpretation of Power Rangers. That's all I gotta say. It's a weird movie. It's some weirdness going on with it, and just sit back, relax, and watch a terrible movie.
Yep.
3 out of 5.
Well, the movie itself is probably a 1 out of 5. With nostalgia, I'd give a 3 out of 5.
Go in wearing your rose-tinted glasses. You'll have a great time.
Yes.
There you go. I got you there. Got you, buddy. I got you. All right.
All right. So we are going to take a quick intermission to give you word from not our sponsor, but my host, who is them Zeotohero. So yes, them. Well, like, Billy to be precise. So
hey! I'm the one who do all the tech stuff.
That's true.
I do all the background.
He's the guy. He's the guy behind the screen, or the guy in the chair.
I'm the guy in the chair who doesn't look like the guy in the chair.
Yeah.
I have a better beard than most guys in the chair.
He does have a perfect face for radio, though.
Exactly. So, I have a face only my mother could love.
Yeah.
Which she don't.
Exactly.
That's subjective. But anywho, here is a word from.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Zeo to Hero podcast. If you definitely like what you hear and want to keep up with us, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Zeo to Hero. We are on TikTok at Z2H Pod. And we have a website of zeotohero.com.